And I heard Boyd mention coming down St. Nicholas Avenue, and he ran into Les Payne, Pulitzer Prize winner, you know, editorial chief for Newsday, founder of the National Association of Black Journalists. Is Les in the house? To drum him down here. He's not moving as fast as he used to. Yeah. Oh, what happened? Y'all got to drum a little longer.
When I first met Gil, and Gil was a type of man that you will remember when you first met him, it was in early 1972. And we were at City College. There was a gathering of what then I think still were called Negro journalists. And I remember meeting them. I was a young whippersnapper reporter from Long Island, and they were all big city New York reporters. And as I met them, I remember precisely, they would say, precisely, I'm Ed Bradley, CBS Radio. I'm Tom Johnson, the New York Times. I'm Ted Poston, the New York Post. Wow. And I'm from Alabama. And I thought that was their last names. It reminded me of, with all respect, how when the slave masters used to go to town, the slaves would dress up in their clothes and wear the plantation. And when I met Gil, he was a tall, unimposing man, and he said, I am Gil Noble, period. Gil was his own man. He was self-assured. He had no subordinates, and he was no one's subordinate. He was well adjusted, and this is no secret, he related to Malcolm X, and he couldn't kowtow. He was interested in the world. He was interested in those days in South Africa. He was interested in Zimbabwe. He was interested in what SWAPO was doing in Namibia, Southwest Africa at that point. And we spent many hours together off camera, and it was very instructive to me. And in recent years, I and Herb and Milton Alamani kind of formed a bond, and we would go on his show, and Gil would pull us aside, and he invariably would say, these 4 topics would always come up. He says, what about Haiti? In that inimitable voice. What are we going to do about Haiti? What about Blackwater? What about black studies? Why are they not teaching it? Why are our children not learning it? How are we going to get them to learn it? And after about the 3rd session, I said, Gil, you're teaching it. I said, Gil, you are preserving it. And he did, and he has, and I'm sure that his work will live on. And I will, since we're at this venue, in this place, on this sad occasion, and I certainly offer my condolences to his widow, Jean, their 5 children. There is nothing that can comfort families at times like these. But for the rest of the audience, I would just close with this anecdote. I remember being in this place on a very, very cold, cold evening. And there had been a group of people who had picked the winter to try to get Gil off the air. This is in 1982. And people stood up and they came out on that wintry evening. And Gil loved him some Harlem. And it's pretty clear tonight and before, it was clear to him that Harlem loved him back. That night, they showed him 30 years ago in this church on a very, very chilly evening when this same Reverend Calvin Otis Butts III read a letter from a man named William Fife. I still remember him. And there had been a lot, I won't get into the gory details, but this was what we in the newspaper business call the kicker. There was a large crowd that had gathered, I think, downstairs, and they wanted to know what had been the conclusion of this attempt to get Gil off the air and to make sure that he did not deal with international subjects any longer. And Reverend Butts read a letter from Mr. Fife of WABC, and it said essentially that nothing was changed thanks to Harlem. That showed Gil that they loved him back. And I remember when they walked out that cold evening, I thought that, I could see in the strides. Now they sat with their jaws tight, but when Reverend Butts finished his letter saying nothing had changed thanks to Harlem, the people walked out. And it reminded me of that Ledbetter tune which says, keep your hands off of him. He don't belong to you. Gil Noble belonged to Harlem.